Reddit is filled with scary stories that will keep you up at night. These stories come from people just like you and me who have experienced some truly terrifying things. From haunted houses to creepy encounters, these stories are sure to give you nightmares. So if you're looking for a good scare, then make sure to watch this video until the end. Who knows? You might even learn a thing or two about what to avoid in the dark. Let's jump into it. I've always been fascinated by Reddit, the vast online community where people share their thoughts, experiences, and stories on everything from science to pop culture. But there's one subreddit that really stands out, r/nosleep. This is where users post scary stories that they've personally experienced, all while pretending that they haven't slept in days. The stories are often detailed and disturbing, leaving readers questioning what could possibly drive someone to write such a vivid account of their darkest fears. But as I delve deeper into this digital rabbit hole, I can't help but wonder, are these tales of terror real, or are they all just elaborate fantasies? Either way, I'm hooked, and if you are too, then buckle up, because we're about to embark on a journey through the most terrifying posts on nosleep. You won't want to miss this. The first story comes from a user named Throwaway Account 3456. Their post titled Flashing Lights at Night starts with an unsettling scenario. The narrator is driving home late at night when their car suddenly overheats. As they pull over to the side of the road, they notice a pair of flashing headlights coming towards them. However, there's something strange about these lights. They don't resemble any vehicle the narrator has ever seen before. As the mysterious car approaches, the narrator's fear intensifies. What follows is a suspenseful account of the narrator as desperate attempts to escape this otherworldly vehicle as it slowly closes in on them. The story takes a bizarre turn when the car finally reaches the narrator and the driver steps out. It's not what the narrator expected. This encounter leaves the reader with more questions than answers. What was the significance of the flashing lights? Was this a random act of violence or something more sinister? And who was the mysterious driver, and why did they choose the narrator for this terrifying ordeal? The ambiguity of the story only adds to its creepiness, leaving us to imagine the horrors that may have unfolded after the narrator agreed to get into the car. The next story comes from a user named Shadow the Kid. Their post titled Neibhauers Are Creepy begins with a seemingly mundane observation. The narrator has noticed that their neighbors have been acting strangely lately. They keep their curtains drawn during the day and their lights on at night. This already paints a picture of a family that is trying to hide something. But the story takes a darker turn when the narrator decides to investigate further. What they discover is truly disturbing. The neighbor's house is filled with creepy dolls and other strange items. The story then takes an even more sinister turn. The neighbor's son is missing, and the police believe he may have run away from home. However, the narrator is not convinced. Something about the neighbor's behavior just doesn't add up. The story ends on a cliffhanger with the narrator planning to confront their neighbor about their suspicions. But will they be met with hostility, or will they uncover the truth behind their neighbor's strange behavior? This story is a masterclass in building suspense. The author does an excellent job of creating a sense of dread and paranoia, keeping the reader on edge until the very end. But there's still more to come. The third story comes from a user named Snails in the Rain. Their post titled Knocking on My Door in the Middle of the Night is a spine-chilling tale of a young woman who moves into an old Victorian house with her boyfriend. The couple is excited to start their new life together in the historic home, but they soon realize that they are not alone. Strange things begin to happen almost immediately after they move in, such as objects moving on their own and whispers in the dead of night. But the most terrifying event is yet to come. One night, the protagonist is awoken by a loud knocking at the door. She and her boyfriend are so startled that they call the police. But when the officers arrive, they find nothing out of the ordinary. As time goes on, the paranormal activity intensifies, and the couple becomes increasingly terrified. The story builds to a climax when the protagonist hears the knocking again and decides to investigate. What she discovers is both shocking and heartbreaking. If you're a fan of ghost stories, then this one is sure to leave you shaken. The author's vivid descriptions and masterful pacing will keep you glued to the page until the very end. As I continue my exploration of Reddit's No Sleep subreddit, I can't help but feel a sense of unease wash over me. These stories are so disturbing and realistic that they leave me questioning the nature of fear itself. It's amazing to me how the human mind can conjure up such vivid and terrifying scenarios. And the fact that these stories are shared by other people makes them even more haunting. It's like reading a glimpse into the darkest corners of the human psyche. But despite the creepiness factor, I can't seem to look away. There's something about these stories that keeps me glued to the screen, even when I'm desperately trying to convince myself to stop reading. Perhaps it's the morbid curiosity that drives us all to seek out the unknown, or maybe it's the thrill of knowing that these stories are just a click away. Whatever the reason, I'm left feeling both terrified and exhilarated all at the same time. And I can't wait to see what other horrors lurk within the depths of Reddit's No Sleep subreddit. Now let's move on to another terrifying post from a user named Empty Barrel. Their post titled, "My Neighbor Collects Human Teeth," is a chilling tale of a young boy who discovers a horrifying secret about his new neighbor. When the boy's family moves in next door, he notices that the neighbor never leaves his house and always keeps his curtains drawn. However, the boy soon notices something strange. Every time he sees the neighbor, he seems to be missing a tooth. As the story progresses, the boy's curiosity turns into suspicion, and he begins to investigate his neighbor's activities. What he discovers is a dark and disturbing secret that will haunt him forever. This story is a perfect example of how fear can be born from the unknown. The author does an excellent job of building suspense and keeping the reader guessing until the very end. The next story comes from a user named Red-Eyed Panda. Their post titled, "Phone Screen Turns Red," is a modern horror story that taps into our deepest fears of technology. The story follows a young woman who is plagued by cryptic phone calls and messages from unknown numbers. At first, she dismisses them as spam or pranks. However, as the calls become more frequent and the messages more menacing, she begins to suspect that someone is stalking her. Just when she thinks it's all in her head, her phone screen turns a deep red color and displays a series of cryptic symbols. As she tries to figure out the meaning of the symbols, she uncovers a horrifying truth about her own identity. This story is a testament to the power of suggestion and the human mind's ability to create monsters out of thin air. The author's use of symbolism and foreshadowing is masterful and will leave readers questioning the nature of reality itself. If you thought those stories were scary, then wait until you hear this one. A user named Cosmic Horror Story posted a chilling tale of a man who stumbles upon a dark secret while hiking in the woods. The man is an avid hiker and loves exploring the great outdoors. But on this particular trip, he feels an eerie sense of foreboding. As he hikes deeper into the woods, he begins to hear strange sounds and see unexplained phenomena. Just when he thinks he's lost his sanity, he comes across a clearing and sees something that makes his blood run cold. In the center of the clearing is a massive tree with strange symbols carved into its bark. And at the base of the tree is a pile of human teeth and bones. The story builds to a terrifying climax as the man realizes that he is not alone in the woods. This story is a prime example of cosmic horror, which emphasizes the insignificance of humanity in the face of the vast and indifferent universe. The author's vivid descriptions and masterful pacing will leave readers feeling utterly helpless and terrified of the unknown. Well, there you have it, folks. Just a sampling of the many terrifying tales that await on Reddit's No Sleep subreddit. Which story scared you the most? Did any of them keep you up at night? Or maybe you have your own creepypasta that you'd like to share. Either way, I'd love to hear from you in the comments below. And if you're still feeling brave, I highly recommend checking out the No Sleep subreddit for yourself. Who knows, you might just find your new favorite nightmare fuel. Thanks for watching, guys. Until next time, stay safe and keep an eye out for those flashing lights at night.